You just gave him 40 years. Well, guess what? So, what's this?
Man. I didn't do anything wrong.
This is Ricky Hand, who's facing charges for several armed robberies in Ohio. Ricky Hand was charged with serious crimes: aggravated robbery, attempted safecracking, abduction, and breaking and entering.
Give me 40 years, sir.
Ricky had been on a crime spree for years, growing confident in his abilities. But his luck took a turn for the worse one night in Springfield, Ohio, when he attempted to rob John's drive-thru. As Ricky approached the door, he was met by the armed owner, who fired shots to scare him off. The owner promptly called the police to report the attempted robbery and the shooting. Soon after, a man with bullet wounds showed up at a nearby hospital, leading the police to arrest him.
911 emergency.
Yeah, this is John's drive-thru, West Main Street. A guy just tried to rob me and I shot him. He ran out the back door.
Okay, is he injured?
I think I hit him.
Ricky, having been shot 3 times, was questioned that night. When Ricky received his 40-year sentence in court, his reaction was shocking. He seemed to short-circuit, confirming with the judge if that was indeed his sentence. Then, unexpectedly, Ricky reached into his arm sling and pulled out bottles filled with his own waste, flinging them at his defense lawyer. Chaos erupted in the courtroom. Ricky's actions had real consequences. He now faced additional charges: 5 counts of harassment with bodily substances, 1 for his lawyer, and 4 for the deputies caught in the chaos. As disgusting as Ricky's outburst was, it wasn't the only instance of a criminal behaving outrageously in court.
You just gave him 40 years. Well, guess what? So, what's this?
Criminal behaving outrageously in court. Shondell Jackson, charged with murder in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, faced a tragic case. In 2010, at just 19 years old, Jackson attempted to rob Nathan Potter, a 21-year-old student. Potter, unfortunately, had no cash on him. Instead of leaving, Jackson shot Potter, ending his young life. During the trial, Jackson showed no remorse. He even smirked at Potter's family, adding insult to injury. Nathan's father gave an emotional statement, urging the maximum sentence for Jackson, calling his crimes pure evil.
Nothing that can be said to bring back our Nathan. But your sentence can ensure that Shondell does not have the opportunity as a free man to inflict pain like this again.
The judge eventually sentenced Jackson to life in prison without parole. Jackson erupted in anger, cursing at the judge. Chaos ensued as officers had to intervene, even resorting to pepper spray. In a puzzling turn, Jackson's family insulted Potter's mother, blaming her for the crime. This behavior shocked everyone present. Redemption might be possible for Jackson, but it's up to him and his family to seek it. Jackson's outburst stemmed from his disbelief at his life sentence. He's not the only convict to believe they deserved a lighter punishment, like Manson Bryant, who also faced serious charges. Manson Bryant, with a history of crimes, including robbery and abduction in Ohio, found himself once again in Judge Lucci's courtroom.
The court determines that you have or will have the ability to pay restitution.
At 32 years old, Bryant had a long history with the law, making frequent appearances before Judge Lucci.
The verdict was guilty in count 1, aggravated burglary, felony 1, guilty in count 2, aggravated burglary, felony 1, guilty in count 3, aggravated robbery, felony 1, guilty in count 4, felony 1, guilty in count 5, abduction, felony 3, and guilty in count 7, which I renumbered for the jury as count 6.
In his latest case, Bryant was found guilty of serious charges, including aggravated burglary, robbery, and abduction. During his sentencing, Bryant initially seemed to accept responsibility for his actions, acknowledging his past mistakes and showing respect for the judge. However, when Judge Lucci handed down a 22-year sentence, Bryant's demeanor quickly changed. He erupted in a profanity-laced tirade, accusing the judge of racism and disrespect. Despite initially considering Bryant's remorse, Judge Lucci ultimately increased the sentence to 28 years, adding 6 more years due to Bryant's outburst.
The ability to pay restitution.
Fuck your courtroom, you racist ass bitch! Fuck your courtroom, man! You racist as fuck!
Even as court deputies led him away, Bryant continued to hurl insults. Judge Lucci, though visibly calm and composed during the outburst, noted that Bryant had shown disrespect before.
Wait a minute.
Never gave me a chance!
When I said that you had a certain amount of remorse, I was mistaken. So that's 28 years with credit for 231 days.
I don't want to hear it, man!
Eventually, the additional 6 years were struck out by a superior court. While Bryant's outburst was unwarranted, some cases evoke strong emotions, such as the heart-wrenching case of Dexter. Dexter Johnson, facing murder charges in Houston, was involved in a tragic carjacking in 2006. Along with 4 others, Johnson held Maria Aparici and her boyfriend at gunpoint, stealing their belongings and subjecting them to torture and humiliation. The couple was later found shot in the woods. In a Harris County courtroom, 19-year-old Dexter Johnson faced trial for his role in the crime. Despite admitting involvement, he maintained he wasn't the shooter. Throughout the trial, Johnson remained composed, but when the death penalty was announced, he broke down in tears, bewildered about what to do next. In a sudden burst of rage, Johnson threw a chair across the room, sparking chaos. Officers quickly subdued him as panic engulfed the courtroom. His relatives' cries for mercy added to the distress, with 2 collapsing and needing medical attention.
Keep it back! Keep it back! Everybody back!
Amidst the turmoil, Judge Denise Collins reached out to comfort those affected, offering solace to Maria Aparici's parents. Johnson's mother fervently defended him, believing in his innocence and divine intervention. Meanwhile, Maria Aparici's father expressed his anguish over the violence inflicted upon his daughter. While Johnson's outburst might seem understandable given his circumstances, there are cases where convicts' reactions are perplexing, such as in the case of Eric Pendland, facing child endangerment charges in Ohio, was convicted of violently shaking his infant son, resulting in permanent disabilities.
Eric Pendland was charged with shaking his then-infant son so violently 2 years ago, the boy is now blind and permanently disabled. I was there as the verdict was read in a courtroom full of emotion.
The abuse occurred when the child was just 3 months old, leaving him blind and permanently disabled. At the emotional courtroom verdict, Pendland maintained his innocence. Sharon Lawson and her husband, dedicated foster parents, had been caring for Pendland's baby boy since 2017. The now 2-year-old victim was formally adopted by the Lawsons, providing him with a safe and loving environment away from Pendland's abuse. The prosecution outlined the lifelong consequences of Pendland's actions, explaining that the child would require constant care for basic needs due to his disabilities. Sharon Lawson expressed the unimaginable agony they endured while caring for the baby, highlighting the relentless screaming they faced for hours on end.
Eric will rely on others to bathe him, dress him, change his diapers, feed him.
Despite overwhelming evidence and his prior criminal record, including robbery convictions and a federal firearms charge, Pendland showed no remorse throughout the legal process. He was sentenced to 11 years in prison, with prosecutors emphasizing his lack of remorse and the severity of the crime.
Nothing prepared us for the screaming. Hours and hours of screaming.
Pendland's reaction to his sentence was one of frustration and disbelief,
I've been falsely accused. I've been wrongfully convicted.
culminating in a profanity-laced outburst proclaiming his innocence. This shocking behavior in court underscores the severity of the case. If you found these courtroom outbursts shocking, you should watch the video of serial killers explaining their motives in court.
I would submit to the court that this entire record is absolutely devoid of any remorse by the defendant.